let's take a look at this pentatonic scale now. So I gave you this sheet, right? So that's the pentatonic scale that you know. So you want to make sure that you do this with doubles, triples, single picking. So start it off. Make sure you get in the doubles. Same thing with the triples. There it is. All right. Then we have this one, boom, the blue scale. So the same thing as the pentatonic, it just adds in this note right here, which is that same note on the 8 over here. So it's now, where is that cool? That is cool right around here. I use this area a lot where I'm just going straight up and down. Which leaves you open to hammer-ons and pull-offs, like that way you can get some speed with it. That way I'm just picking it and then hammering and then doing the same thing here, hammer, pull, and then all of this pull-offs. All right, so I'm just and you can cycle that. So anytime I'm like, I end up doing that a lot. But that's where these blues notes will come in handy, you know. Not that note though. Don't do that one. All right. So that way, you know, like with that pentatonic scale, you add a little bit of technique to it and you can really change the way that sounds. So that's where those blues notes are just going to come in just a little something different than your straight pentatonic. Right. And then this next part is basically what I was saying, you know, just get your hammer-ons and your pull-offs in there. Same thing. And then you can even do the hammer pulls. Yeah, you end up doing those motions a lot too. I'm trying to stay. I want to jump, but I'm like want to stay right over here. So that the same thing with like your hammer-ons and pull-offs. They're just going to add accents to what you can do rather than you can gain a lot of speed using hammer-ons and pull-offs and legato. So next we have the patterns. It's just doing pattern of 3, like triple it and then triple it, triple it. So you're like triple it, triple it. And you know, like you end up practicing these patterns through one, keeping the idea that I can take my second pattern, my third, my fourth, my fifth. I know I just went through all of them, but you know, they all have something in common, which is this whole step pattern. And if you look, every 2 strings, that's the same. Oops, sorry. And then you have to jump up right here because of the way the guitar's tuned, but essentially it would be the same all the way down. So you can take that same pattern Right? So you can use patterns to do like a climax of a solo, or you're getting up to a point. And then you can do your little final thing. Ah, what? Crowd goes wild. So that's what that third pattern looks like. And you're, like I said, you're doing it with one pattern, but you want to keep in mind that you can take these and move these through all your different patterns. So it's really just getting your fingers used to what that feels like going between the strings. Because it doesn't matter where you're at. You can do them. I mean, I want to do them with these as well. You want to get these fingers in as well as these, but it depends on where you're at. If I'm using this, so I have these movements. So yeah, anywhere that I'm doing that, I can do that between any of the pattern. But when you really break down what the pentatonic patterns, you have this spacing and then you have this spacing, and they're just in different spots. Like, that's why if you do just that pattern with a couple of the scales, then like doing it with this one, for instance, you get used to going into these whole steps right here, like this, that whole section, getting all of these fingers, and then you're switching to these. So that gives you more of like a practical use, like something that you might come across, where this one is like, it's just easy, just set up nice, but that's why, like, getting these patterns, try that with the next one, do the one behind it, but essentially you want to get your fingers used to just what that feels like and moving in those patterns. And then we have this, I wonder if you can see, I don't know if you can see this hand moving, but we're going to try it. But so now we're doing fourths. So we just did this one in third. I just didn't have it labeled. So fourths. And another thing is accenting. Like with fourths is really good. You're just taking this and you're just counting. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I start on 8, 8, 7, or 8, 5, 8, 5. Then I start on 5, 5, 8, 5, 7. Then I start on this 8. So every note I'm starting on and moving it down and just counting 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing there, but as I'm moving up, my first finger, as I move up, I just use it to go down to that next string. So watch, go. Now I have it here, then I just, and when I move it up, you see how I'm moving it up as I start to inch up. So and what I'm doing is I'm keeping this finger down for the most part anytime I'm playing, anytime I'm doing anything. If I'm going to go anywhere else, it's probably going to go back to one of these notes. Boom. So I'm here. So you'll notice a lot of players like keeping that first finger down. Like this is, I wouldn't say an anchor, like you don't have to like, I'm going to keep this pressed all over the guitar. But anytime you play, you want to keep this kind of a spread. And a lot of times with the scales, you end up having that where you can bridge these two. So getting used to not get that used to, and I'm moving this up. And you see, like right here, this is, I'm not really barring, but I'm touching my strings. I'm not really barring it down as I go, but I do use that little motion to boom, get that string. By keeping this down like this, I end up keeping these strings quiet as I move up. So that, you can't see my right hand, but my right hand, I'm just free picking. So I'm just, So that way, but you can't hear those extra notes as opposed to me going like you hear that hum of the. I don't know if you can quite hear it, but there's that extra ring of those notes when there's not being muted. So using your left hand, I'm not using my right hand to mute. I'm just playing it free. I said, and as I'm moving up, boom, I'm getting that mute in there with these fingers. So try that with these, like with these patterns. I'm just lightly muting these. And then as I'm leaving these, I add my palm mute at the bottom down there. Boom. So that way I can keep these quiet, but I start off wide open. I'm just straight, just. And that way I have that open sound and I can control whether I want to and open it up at the bottom or have it and move it like that. So, I'm just taking this pattern, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then try that on different accents. Like I'm most comfortable with the one, doing it. Like I said, you put some echo on that, you put some delay, you get some trails on that. It sounds really cool, and you can work on. Something like that can turn in, like you think of U2, like he's only doing like doing 2 notes, and it sounds amazing with the delay on there. So trying that with some different settings and getting those patterns in there. Work on the hammer-ons and the pull-offs with legatos and try to get some speed up, and then that'll get you getting ready to work on these licks. So with the licks, you were probably able to do the blues progression. I'll send you that, just the 12-bar blues pattern. Sorry, my hat was in the way. All right. Just by knowing that, and here's the thing is like practice getting through that. Use your 7th chords to, or even if you're just, and just go through each one of the measures, 2, 3, 4 measures, and then switch. Like I said, I'll send you this 12-bar blues, but even if you're doing something simple like that, it's about that time that's in there, so that way you can take these and make these licks work. So this first lick is, so I'm taking that, I'm using these 2, then now what you can't see maybe with my right hand here is like I get this, like once I let go of this, I let it go into my first finger, that, but then I also, to halt that, I have this part hitting these top strings so I don't get that D string over. That gives me that freedom. That I don't have to be like quite like so careful right here. That way I can keep it a little quiet there, right? So that first one, all right, so you can use that and combine it with different things. I'm just taking it in different directions. That's just straight, and then so same thing. I'm just adding in a slide, and then that puts me right on that next scale, right? So I'm coming up, doing that same thing, coming off into that blue note. Right? So I'm just taking that, doing some different patterns. Right? So, it's like you get a lot of freedom with that, but that's just a starting point. So you got this, and then really, right? You can add in a few different things. So thinking about that blues progression. All right. So the next one we have, number 2, is when you think of like oh man, the Back to the Future song, the oh man, I'm like brain farting on the name of that. But that era, you use that a lot, and that like climactic. So I'd use that as something to like that I'm ready to like we're gonna get ready to get into this change and this like. All right, so taking it into things, like thinking like I don't know if you want to sit and just. But think of like the same thing with this one. I think of it both ways. Like think of it as going and then down and then going up. I use that one a lot. I equally. A lot of times when I do, I end up going sliding up, doing that number, and then when I go in reverse like this, I end up coming up the fret a lot. I mean, you don't have to go one certain way, but that's where I find out that I go the most. Versus, so that change in direction might, suit your ear in different ways. But the same thing with this one. I would use it as something like, we're getting to start something, or, just you're going to notice this because I'm going to repeat that over and over again. Then you have this third one, which is, what song is that? Extreme, Wholehearted. That's where that like this whole that whole move in that don't yeah, there's like songs that I could think of that have that where it's like a part of that song having that little point there. But the same thing here, I take this and do like number 4. A lot of times as an ending. All right. So if I'm going to use that, usually I'm finalizing something with this. All right, just to give you some ideas on like how to use some of these as well. Now this, when it comes to number 4, yeah, I end up doing that. Because I think I have. No, I don't have that. I have another pattern that I do that's And it's really taking this first part of that. Oh, let's do zoom in there. So it's right, and then it's just moving it up and doing that. So I get this one really from. All right, so work that one with speed and without, and that one, like I said, I have another pattern that I do, so I use that a lot to, and I kind of roll with that, and I use that little pattern right in there, but that's where I get this one. But that puts you right into. Combine all of these. You can mess around with them. Now this one and the next few. So look at number 5 here. This one, get used to doing it in different ways. You can, like I said, these scales are movable. So take this one and get used to moving that fast. And when your pinky's worn out, do it with these two. Then, when those two are worn out, do it with these two. Then when these are worn out, do it with all of them. You will thank me later. There's a thumbs up. Woo, yeah. Sideways thumbs up. But yes, take this, work on doing that over and over. You can do that with all different, like, you're going to see that everywhere. So the more you can get used to just moving your fingers around like that, get that, and doing it up here. The reason why you want to do the rest of these fingers is get this finger stretch out and used to it. Most of the time, a lot of the songs that you love are like Metallica, any Stevie Ray Vaughan, any blues stuff. A lot of times they're in E, so you can put that pentatonic, and it just is so much easier. You don't have to use your pinky. Over here, you're gonna have to, so you want to get used to doing that and using your pinky and that. But get that ring finger in there, because if you're coming up, you're going to have so much reach with that pinky, but you want to get that ring finger like we're ready to go. All right. So then that's what you want to do with like number 5 is just repeat that one. The same thing with the next ones though. Just getting the bends. It's the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And I would take it and wear your fingers out. Do that. Like get your fingers to where they're like, oh, I'm exhausted. And then the next day, you're going to suck at the bends. You're not going to be able to get them. The next day after that, you're going to suck a little. After that, your fingers are going to start to get stronger, and being able to bend up there is not going to be really much of an issue. It's really about working, if you could lift weights and get these muscles used to moving that way. And it's just that part of your hand, nothing forces you to really do that, like where you're pulling out. All your exercises are grip exercises. So that's where those bends feel weird. But, take this. This is you could do this as a unison bend. I make it look super easy, like that reach, and like, oh, I'm just going to bend this up and hold it. Yeah, I have some students that play it like this. And this wasn't something that I was like, as soon as I could do bends, I was able to do. No, I mean, it took me a little while to get this spacing, and then, I don't know if you can see, I'm like, lock my finger, and then get this so I can arch over, like this one's on its tip, this one's pushing, so it's just barely missing the string, so that way I can, like I said, it wasn't like I did it right away. I started off with these because this is doable. And then this was like, let me stretch it out and let me do it like that. And then I was working on that. But really, this is where it's going to hurt the most. Like if you have that pentatonic scale up here, most of the time, if it's an E, it's an open. But and when I say hurt the most, it's like right now. It's just going to be like, oh, that's stretching and getting this. But like I said, a lot of the stuff that you're going to play is going to be like right over here, or you're going to be in E major. Right? So you can have E major, right? And then E minor. And that's like anything that. All right, so that pentatonic is just right there. You're going to have a lot of those movements in there. So getting these fingers is going to be crucial. But take this one, and like I have this one and this one where it's like you're doing that bend and then playing. Right there, I would practice it like that with timing. As soon as I get it up to the top of that bend, boom, boom, bam. That's where you're going to see this the most, is by doing it. And, just like I said, as a, you think of like, well, just think of like a professional. Like if you're a professional athlete, yeah, you're going to do it with your weakest link. Now, am I going to do this live? If I'm showing off, maybe, but I'll work on it. But, that's not something that I'm commonly going to do. But just in case, what if I hurt my ring finger, or like I grabbed the top of my guitar, that which has happened, and now my right here just is in pain, and I'm just like, ah. The situations happen, but just making sure that you do it with each one of your fingers is just going to ensure that you're not leaving that pinky out, and you'll be surprised on how much like you'll be able to catch things. Like if you start to mess up, your fingers are like, nope, I got you. We got the pinky there. All right, so make sure trying that and doing that, do them where they're individual and as. And then that laughing one is like I start and I just go back 3 and then move up and go back 3 or 4. I guess it depends on how hard you're laughing at somebody. So unison bends help get that push in there and getting used to it. So here we go. Here goes the fun bend. So this one, whenever you see one going straight up, that means it's already bent. That means I'm here already. All right. So let me put that over my hands. Oh, there you go. That way I can line it up. So I got this. I'm starting off with the pre-bend. Well, actually, I went a little high there, but let me get that whole step. Stop it, and then. All right, and see, like I'm judging that, like I'm pulling this up right when my finger touches that 5th string. I feel like. That gets me right about to that. So look at your, like mine has a floating bridge, so it might have a little more play on my guitar. You might hit your full step bend like right there, and just like right before you hit that, like, oh, I got it. So like, but look at it. Look at where everything is at. I've gotten used to no matter what, I can. And I can use that as a judgment also by listening to it. But just to give yourself a little visual of like, okay, this isn't going to cut it. It's going to be more like. Right? So remember this one, reverse bend. So I bend it up into a pull off. Boom. Pull off. Boom. And look, I still have this finger is kind of not pressing them, not like intentionally, but I got this one, like I'm leaning on that one already, right? Not so much to like play it, but I was just showing you that I can lean out, but so that way, which that hum is this string up here. But I have these palm muted with my right hand. That way everything is open here. All these bottom strings. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm doing the next one. I'm doing that one. That one is a, but we're doing the, right? So you got that one, and then let's go straight into that one. Almost the same thing. You're just starting with the original note, bending it up a whole step, bringing it back down to the original note, pull off. And you see, like, just right there, like, just a little bit of speed changes that. All right, so you got number 7. A lot of times you hear that, like, where they're just doing straight that reverse bend. All right, and then with. So that way you have a little context. All right. So like trying to combine some of those other ones like I was doing. You know, just so different denominations of like once or 2 times or right or 2, 3. You know, I mean, the situation's going to be different each time, but that way you're looking at like, oh, I can combine all of these and kind of just get used to doing whatever it needs to be done to get whatever sound I'm looking for. So these next to the 11 or 10 and the 11 are just, you know, opposites of and right. So you have that and see that a lot. And you know, these something like this where you're doing it between these, you can try that between. You trying to do, you know, that one is like one of Sublime songs. Right? And all of these are just combinations of I just did that or and then I end up doing that a lot where it's just I'm just doing that pull off like and I'm just random picking one, like normally 1, 2, and 3. So I'm like, is my 1 or my 3. And as I'm playing, you know, I'm you know trying to think of a number, but I'm just like, you know, I put that 1 in there. You know, I would take something like that and then start embellishing that with it. All right, so that way, you know, as you're playing that, get used to, like, you're going to be able to get away with repeating these notes. You know, different speeds. All right, take the hammer-ons and pull-offs out of that. All right, so getting used to that, getting these movements in there, which leads to this one. That one is kind of almost like a combination of number 3 and number 1, but now the only thing is this right here doesn't always work with like blue. Like it works best with the dominant, like. So like that's what you would think of like a mixolydian lick, because it works on the dominant chord, which is the G, which is mixolydian, and that's where it's going to sound best. But if you hit like your normal, I don't. Hopefully my hat wasn't in the way, but like your normal 7th chord. Like that one, it kind of clashes with it a little bit. Yeah, you can hear. All right, so that's the only thing is with this note that if you're playing more of like something that sounds like that, like a twangy kind of a blues, like we're playing the blues, yeah, you got that. Like you'll get away with that one, but that's the only one out of these that really that's like these other blue notes. Boom, these work with anything. Like you can take that and just like make some runs with that. It's just this one that you'll notice that it doesn't always work. So just keeping that one in mind. But this way you have an idea. Like hopefully I gave you the idea of like how you can potentially use these. But one thing is I'll send that blues pattern to you, but memorize the 12-bar blues. Get that timing in your head, and I'm sending you the long form version, so that way you're on that one chord for a long time, and then like when you carry over on that turnaround, you're back to that one, and you got that stretch that gives you time to vamp on a chord. So I'll send you that one, and then you'll have this lictionary of yours to really start, trying that with some backing tracks, and hearing how you can incorporate some of these with some of the different tempos. Practice them slow and it'll come in time where you can take those and start stringing them together with different things. The more you get used to bends, and the more you get used to like where you can slide. Same thing like with your I would use the pentatonic scales. Those slides are always going to sound good. I mean, you have your major, but the pentatonic ones are like they're surefire. Yeah, not that one. But mostly like the pentatonic scale is like it's a go-to. for a reason, because it sounds good with all of them. Some of the other like major scale notes kind of clash, kind of way that like this note does. Not all the time, but if it's gonna be hard to blend, it's gonna be those notes. Pentatonic's gonna work all the time. So practice those, practice the speed, hammer-ons and pull-offs. Legato is where it's at when it comes to just being able to fly with these. This one will give you a lot of the finger patterns that you use, besides doing that whole step with your second and fourth finger. But most of the stuff you're gonna do is gonna be your first and third, and using that pinky. But don't neglect getting that second and fourth finger in there if you want to do that fourth pattern. Like that part right there, right at the bottom. You can even take that as a scale fragment. Let me put that up here so you can see that, where it's just. And so this is where that third scale ends. Right, so you got these, and then it's just this next scale. All right, and that way you have that section, and work on that and get these fingers moving like you want them to, and that'll be a good way to get these. And I know, let me go ahead and wrap this up before we start a whole another session on like, all right, I'll start soloing. But hopefully this will give you a good idea on as you're learning licks and everything. Like, yeah, you got these licks straight, but you're going to be able to take those and put them together and mesh them into different ideas and get different sounds. So, practice those, get used to what they sound like, practice them with backing tracks. It's going to be important because of the timing. Play it with some slow songs, play it with some fast songs, and try to get it in where you think it'll fit. And I'll help you with that. And then also work with that blues, the long form blues pattern that I'll send you. So get that, and then yeah, have fun with this. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next week. This, yeah, and this week. Later.